And it's fucking...
Like, I just don't understand it.
So there I was, elbow deep, no way out, looking her right in the eyes, and I didn't know what to do. Shocked, terrified.
Welcome to the next episode of VGXL. I'm your host, Daniel, aka Games. Joining us again today, we have Adocat and El Torrente. And if you're not following us, definitely follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Twitter. Either VGXL Podcast on Twitter or Video Games X Life everywhere else. What's going on, guys? How y'all doing today? How's y'all week been? Anything interesting coming up? Video games?
Not really. It's been hot as fuck.
Yeah.
Trying to stay cool.
Yeah,
man.
this week was mad. Well, last
Besides
week was
that.
mad annoying with that heat wave. Oh my god! And then in New York, they try to say not to turn off your
Shit,
own
gross.
ACs when it was 102 degrees outside. It's like, yeah, no, I'm good. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
listen
right.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, now we're just going to
Yeah,
have to
no.
have a blackout, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I am not turning off my fucking air conditioning at all.
If I suffer,
Wanna-
the whole city suffers with me, dog. Not going down alone.
You want to save fucking a billion gigawatts or whatever the fuck electricity? Just turn off Times Square for like 4
Yo,
hours.
I guarantee if they turned off Times Square for
Yeah,
like
word.
10
Let's talk
minutes,
about
that
that.
shit would probably save like the fucking Earth right there.
That shit'll change the world.
Oh, yeah.
Pure hunger
Yo,
in
it's just-
Africa or some shit. Lights are off. We can feed the children. Yes.
Yeah, no, that I could definitely see that shit changing the most random stuff. Like, yo, COVID
Right?
just stops. COVID is
We have a cure
over,
for
man. It was the
malaria,
lights.
finally.
You had to turn off the lights in Times Square to kill
Yo.
COVID.
Cancer.
That's
More
the
cancer
vaccine.
ever.
You go into Times Square
Right?
when there's no light, and it kills the virus.
You can't say
Yo.
that, dog. People might start believing it. You put COVID,
Listen,
any
you-
COVID fucking
listen.
theory you put out there, someone's gonna pick
I'm
up
not
on
gonna
it, dog.
say this is 100% fact, ladies and gentlemen, but I am gonna say that this is about 99.9% valid. If you go into Times Square when the lights are off, it kills
Yeah.
COVID.
Kills
I think-
COVID.
I
The
think
absence
you're
of
a little.
light
I think it's like
destroys
97%
the
accurate
virus.
that happens.
I mean, tomato, bro. Listen, if you go in, it's been proven that if you go into Times Square while you have COVID and a fever, and then they turn out the lights in Times Square, it leaves your body. You feel better instantly.
Oh man,
Fever's gone.
you lose.
Virus.
I've heard the same. Yeah.
VGXL, baby, come here for your news.
100% accurate.
That's it. Coming for your cures.
75% of the time.
Yeah. You don't need goop. Fauci,
Exactly.
eat your heart out.
Yo,
Yo,
Fauci don't know
man.
about that. If he knew, Times Square would be dark right now,
Oh
but
man,
it's not. So
Never lost. Never lost.
thousands of people huddled up in Times Square in the dark.
Turn off the lights, Rebecca. It's gotta be
Oh
dark.
my God, we're here back on the scene at Times Square where millions have gathered up. It's very reminiscent of New Year's in the city, except it's 110 degrees out and people are huddling up next to each other hoping to kill this virus. You see a helicopter point of view
And
of
the-
just bad people.
they won't even see shit. You just see
Oh.
darkness. Like
Yeah, you just see
That's right.
darkness and they're interviewing people, but you
The
see
weird
their
shadows and
silhouettes. Yeah, you see their silhouettes. Yeah, we're just out here, we know the truth. And we want to get out here. We
We
want
know
to make
the
sure we want to make sure our families are safe and that we want to make sure we do the best for our city and we don't let it spread. So we're here to make sure we kill the virus. Kill the Times Square kills the Times Square kills the virus.
oh
Take a
shit, just mad
selfie,
black
take a
phones,
selfie.
like black screens rather.
Oh
Take a
my
selfie.
God. Yo,
Yeah, right.
that shit is really
Fucking
funny
awesome.
to me. I'm sorry.
Oh
That's
man,
really
you know
funny
what's
to me.
crazy is that if they said that nonsensical
so-
shit, people would really be huddling up in Times Square begging for the lights to be off. Oh man,
Yeah. That's why you gotta be careful what you're
yeah,
saying.
all of
man.
our million
Take it
fans,
serious.
right? And 10 years from now, they'll listen
Oh
to some
my
old
God.
episodes. Oh shit, VGXL new, but
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so moving on from our COVID relief plans, fucking Dead Space is actually getting remade instead of a sequel. So what do you guys think about that? Are you excited for an actual remake?
Shit, I don't know. I think I am. I'm not sure. It was released in a time frame where there wasn't too much left graphically, I'll say. So I'm not sure what they're gonna do better. I mean, I'm sure there are things they could do better. You know, they can open spaces up, you know, better lighting, things like that. But I feel like it's pretty advanced. I'm not really sure what else they can do to it. I don't know. I'm excited either way. It'll be cool.
Right.
I'm not like super excited. It's interesting.
We were talking previously, like, I don't know. I think it's a learning experience. I think that's the main reason, since you don't have the original director on there, and you're missing a lot of the whole original team is probably like nobody left. There's maybe some programmers, some B-level employees left over, but you know, I think there could be. This is probably a learning experience. So they do it from the ground up. Probably take cues from what made the first game good, and like I was saying last week, like you can, you know, they can do something cool with that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, that way it opens the door for maybe a real sequel, like a sequel that's unrelated or something like that, like or something, you know, a sequel to the second or third game. You know, so we'll see what happens. I mean, like I said, like with some lighting, some more open areas, I think they could do something fire. You know.
Well, that's a good point. Like you said, all right, so if they remake this one, doesn't that close the door for something more interesting now? Because now they kind of have to.
Well, like I said, it's just the first one, so I mean, you could always veer from there.
Yeah,
true.
I guess that's true.
I'm kind of on the same boat I was on last time we spoke about it, where it's like if you could deliver a remake and give us something cool and new at the same time, like in addition to just it being a graphical improvement, you know, or lighting improvement, I think that in addition to maybe some new weaponry or a new system.
Exactly, like a reimagining. Experience. Like, yeah, I would be down for they don't need to stick hardcore to that story, because it was the gameplay that really made that game. So they could either keep a similar story, they could still have the tower, or whatever, the arc or whatever it was called, and do all that cool stuff. But like you said, have different systems, have maybe slightly more open areas, way scarier areas. And now with next gen, you have 3D audio and all the lighting. So I think you know, they could really like change up the flow of some of the gameplay while maintaining the story. And then, like you said, that could lead to like a real sequel to the series, or you know, or something that maybe like just a relaunching of the genre. But you never know. Like I said, if it's a reimagining, then you could do a sequel to that instead of doing a remake of the original sequel. That's what I think they could do. But
yeah, I guess we'll have to see what they do.
But I guess we'll see.
Which way they take
but yeah. So moving on, like, tell me this wasn't like the most annoying week of video game news. I found this shit to be so annoying. Like everything, like. Exactly.
Like everything I didn't want to hear
first,
about.
After the whole blue box thing, and everyone getting crazy about Kojima, which could potentially still be a thing. Camera.
Mm-hmm.
You want to?
What?
I don't know. Should I continue? All right.
Yeah, go for it.
That's my disappearing trick, ladies and gentlemen. Slight head. They didn't even know.
But no, it's like after all that, now, even though it was already rumored, I admit it was rumored, so I was kind of expecting it, but Bluebird team doing, oops, I wrote that wrong. I put Bluebird team doing Dead Space. Bluebird team doing Silent Hill. I don't know. Like I said, I already kind of knew that because that was always the rumor, but now that it's official, it was like, really? So it's going to be a separate team? Now, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Jose? Like, you know, with the medium that came on other games, yeah.
I mean, for me, I think it's a dream come true for the team at Bloober, saying, oh, wow, this is, you know, we came into the game. You know, obviously the medium is a pretty new game for them. Pretty successful, got some good reactions from people, you know, because it had that old survival horror feel to it. I think for them, it's like a dream come true, like a project that they've always wanted to work on, you know, because the medium is pretty much like their love letter to Silent Hill or whatnot. But once you actually have that team working on a whole new game, I'm like, okay, for me personally, in no way was the medium fucking with Silent Hill. in terms of just authenticity or just feeling. Like, you can't really top
Right.
the top. You know what I'm saying? You can't top the top. So for me, now that I see that you're working on this game, I already know I'm going to be underwhelmed because you didn't hit that mark for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to come with some real shit. I mean, I don't know who is on the full team or what type of story or writing these guys have access to that could maybe change the whole narrative of the game and maybe make it feel much darker and like a better experience. But for me, the medium from people could even go back to like the earlier episodes of the podcast where the medium wasn't even out yet. We were really happy about the medium coming out because it was a game that was made with Silent Hill in mind. So us being Silent Hill fans, it was like a big deal. I felt like that was a cool. I already had my mind set on buying that game and playing it and like experiencing it because I saw what they were doing, what they were going for. Now that they're a part of the team doing a Silent Hill remake, it's like, I hope it's better than the medium because the medium wasn't a bad game. But again, there's just levels to this, and the medium is in its own thing. But it wasn't fucking with what we had. It just wasn't. Silent Hill was just a different animal. Same thing as the early Resident Evil games. So I already see that we might be in for like, some type of version of Silent
like
Hill.
I agree with that. Like
that.
like medium was good. It had its moments. It wasn't too action packed. I guess it had some. The puzzles were a little easy. Yeah,
that's my only problem with the game. That the puzzles felt more of like a novelty rather than something taken serious. In terms of let's really mind bend people or fuck with them, because it was a great nod. Like, it made you feel like the text appearing on the screen and the way the image kind of changes camera angles, all of that felt so familiar. And it's like, yes, I love this. But once that feeling goes away, it's like, all right, now I'm left with some easy puzzles and a game that I beat in a few hours, or that I'm at the end and I didn't even really feel like it's like more of like feels more of like a linear homage. Like a linear game paved with homage, pretty much. And I think that's awesome. But when they're like, you're fucking with the actual game. If you don't do that level of work,
that's what I'm saying. Like, they really got to come with some fire. Like, really, like, look at the old games, look at what made them good. They can do, like, the story was okay. It wasn't as mind-bending as a Silent Hill game, because Silent Hill is on top of it, being cryptic and stuff. It's like it kind of made you think. It fucked with your mind. The scary bits fucked with your mind, whereas I feel like nothing really that scary messed with your head in the medium. Like, it was a little simple. It was like Silent Hill or Resident Evil light, so it's like it wasn't that heavy, like I like some of the twists and turns of the story. And Uber team is capable, I'd like to think. So I don't know. I really hope that this is something that they can do. I really hope they knock it out the park, because they'll go down as in history as like one of the greats if they can really pull off Silent Hill. But I'm not that confident, because all their games have been like 7s and 8s. They've been all right. They've been good for what they were, and there's a lot of indie feel to them. But we think, when you think Silent Hill, you're thinking AAA, scary, storytelling and all that. Where they're very indie and and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Let me. Do we know the details of this? Like, did Konami reach out to them and get them on board?
That I'm not 100% sure. Like, who reached out first? Like, it was just rumored that they were gonna partner up. I know Konami in general has been looking for third-party teams since they don't really have any in-house anymore. But then on top of that, we don't really know what they're doing. Like, if they're doing a remake or a reimagining, or if they're doing a brand new game. Because then you have a prominent Japanese developer is doing the other one, is doing another side. So there's still room for Kojima. I don't think so, but you never know. Maybe like that's.
So it's gonna be two sides.
Yeah, that's been like officially announced. Yes. Like, I believe it's official that it's two developers, Bloober and someone else that we don't know yet.
Okay. Now, Team Bloober, the question I have, like, I didn't play the medium, so I can't say firsthand.
It's on Game Pass.
Really, my expectations too much for it. Shut up. So, my question is, how's the engine? because I have a feeling, well, in my opinion, a big part of Silent Hill for me is just that engine. You know what I mean? It adds something to the whole game. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
I don't know. If you made that with like Unreal,
it was cool. I thought it
wouldn't
was
quite
cool with
feel like
the
Silent
engine,
Hill.
like because remember the medium, what it did. I mean, I'll admit
Okay.
this suffered from some like frame rate issues on PC. Like I didn't have my newest setup, but even on a pretty decent setup, it kind of chugged along.
Right.
But the whole like split screen thing that it did, I thought was really cool. It looked good. I thought it looked fine. I thought it was a solid looking engine, like a modern Resident Evil. Like pretty much they did a lot of the still camera angles and all that, but it felt modern. You know,
Right.
like it felt like just a modernized Resident Evil, a modernized Silent Hill with the stationary cameras angles.
Okay. So you could definitely see
Right,
Silent Hill
yeah,
being
exactly.
on
Like
the same
it could
feel
have been like
at
Silent
home.
because of a
Okay.
lot of the stuff you did. Like the environments moved around. Some of the puzzles were cool looking. They weren't very hard, but they were cool looking. The whole like split worlds, that was really cool. Like going up to a mirror and then seeing your like alternate version of the character was pretty freaky. Like you'd walk up to a mirror and you just see her white hair
Right,
and
yeah.
what she looked like in the in the other world. You know what I mean? So they did some cool shit. I'm not gonna
Right,
front.
yeah.
Like Medium wasn't bad. It's just we're talking about like the levels of some of the better Silent Hill games. You know what I mean? It definitely didn't reach that.
Yeah. Like I love the medium. I think the medium was an awesome game. I
Yup.
just also keep it honest because games like Silent Hill 2 are notorious for their difficulty. You know, like those games could get increasingly difficult, and the puzzles were. I remember being on puzzles and having to pause the game, or just leave the shit on the screen that the puzzle's on and going off and being like, "Yo, I'm gonna go eat and like fucking take a shower or something. Like I can't do this shit anymore. Like I'm just so stressed out with this fucking puzzle." And then like having to really hunker down and be like, all right, this is it. I got to do this now. I don't get any of that from a lot of games now, but a game that's really kind of revolving around that era, and that was such a heavy component, it was missing. Like the difficulty was missing. They hit the nail on the head in terms of tone and visual and pretty much the format of the games. But when it comes to difficulty, it comes off more like a novelty project than an actual like
Right, like it didn't
game,
help their case in my opinion. It was a bad example of like them proving they could do a Silent Hill game in my opinion. Like they can do it's like the epitome of their craft, and it's probably one of the better works that they've done. But looking at the medium saying nothing about to say they can totally do it, like it didn't build confidence, and I think that's the problem.
Right. Like I feel like from an indie team, it was a great, it's like a great approach. And it's like, oh, these guys got some skills. You see that game they released? Like that shit it reminds me of what we were doing back then. That's awesome. Like you could tell they like learned from us. But once I give you the franchise, it's like now you really have to deliver, and that's hard, man, because those games came from a lot of different, like there's a lot of, like, first of all, they're telling us so much shit about these Silent Hill games, but if Akira Yamaoka is not involved in that project, I swear to God, I'm not playing that game. Because Akira
Where's
Yamaoka...
Bloober Team based out of?
What is it? Is it Polish? Poland.
Because you just like El Torrente.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, because El Torrente, you just mentioned that, and that's a good point. Like, these games are so heavily Japanese influenced. Horror games in general
Japanese horror
are so heavily influenced by the Japanese, the way they do their horror. So yeah, Polish. Nothing against Poland, but
yeah, like you're right, like exactly,
it's
like
not
and
Japanese
they've
horror,
done a
I'll tell
few,
you
and like
that.
I said, nothing is really like I think Layers of Fear was probably one, like they broke out with Layers of Fear, and I think the first one was like pretty good, and it's like you can see like the progression, and that's what the medium was. It was like a progression of everything that they've learned from the Layers of Fear games and Blair Witch, but again, it's still that was more, a lot of that's American, felt more American horror, or your typical horror like that we're used to here, than like you said, like a Japanese horror. Like it didn't feel like that at all. Like they tried, like one of the main villains or the monsters was pretty, was crazy looking, and there was some good jump scares, but there was no mind fuckery, and I think that's what Silent Hill's always been about. Like the story was
Yeah.
twisted a little
Yeah.
bit, and there was a
Exactly.
twist at
That's-
the end that was like, oh, but it didn't fuck with you. It didn't keep you up at night. You're not thinking about, once like you said, like
Yeah.
you beat the game.
Yeah, like you beat
I'm
the
thinking
game,
like
and that's why I kind of fell out of it. I'm sorry, David. I didn't mean to
No.
interrupt.
No, go ahead.
But
bro.
it's like there are some major factors that make us. We've had this talk. Like we've had we did a whole podcast on what makes a survival horror game a survival horror game,
No.
and the medium wasn't out yet. I don't think, or the medium
Nah,
might have.
I don't think so.
Yeah. So when the medium came out, we started talking about it, and like, yeah, we were happy with it. We were having a good experience with it, and that still stands true. This isn't us picking the game apart. I love that game. I think the game was well done. It's just I'm not gonna return to the game back to back. Like I'm not really on that type of time with that game. And then, when it comes to some of the major factors that create that experience, like feeling isolated or overwhelmed
Right.
and underpowered. You know what I mean? Like you don't get any of that from this game. It's like everything's just kind of laid out for you, and some things you get stuck on, but there's no sense of urgency or like, fuck, I got 3 bullets and I know I gotta fight like 6 dudes in the hallway, and I got the spade key, but I'm gonna fucking die, like for sure. Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Like do I overwrite my progress or just start from the other save point? But shit, I only had 1 herb back then. And that save point, like this was a real problem. Like there were so many times where I legit had to start a game over because of shit like that. And that game doesn't have that feeling, and you're talking 3 major factors that make up a survival horror game, and you're kind of you're in the big leagues now. So
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
that's a big. I don't think it's gonna go. Like the whole Sonic Mania, when they got the guy who like did the hacked version. And they got him to work. That dude is an expert at that shit. You can see that he hit that game on the head with his versions of what he was doing for like a long time. It's not the same thing here. Here it's kind of like you're not. If there was a watered down version of Sonic, you would have noticed it.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
I don't know. Like,
yeah.
it definitely reminds me of Sonic, but I don't know. He's not really moving the same. The environment doesn't look the same.
Right.
Just a little bit too slow.
No, and
Yeah, something off. So we'll see how it goes. I wish them the best. I hope they do a good job. At the end of the day, I'm a consumer. I just want to play the game and have fun. But you need to have Akira Yamaoka in that game, man. He has to be a part of that soundtrack.
They'll send him like.
I think he's involved only because he did work with them on. Remember, he did some of the music for the medium, so he has to be. I think this is like his. Like I think he's gonna be involved.
Yeah.
Just because he's already worked with them, why not? Now he's working on on the IP. So could be wrong, but
Yeah.
That's also a huge factor as to. I'm sure him being involved is a huge reason why they have that confidence, because he has a lot to offer in terms of opinion with tone. His music matched the tone of those games perfectly. You want to know how good he did that? When they did the HD remakes of Silent Hill, that was handled by like the new team in Australia and all that, and they completely ruined it. They ruined it, bro. Like I've never seen such a miscarriage. Like they ruined that Silent Hill HD remake. Like even the PS2 and PC versions of Part 2 look better than the HD version that came out for like PS4. It's absolutely insane. There's like music missing, shit that like sound effects that don't match, like music cutting off. There's like fog is missing from like vital points. Like it's awful. And if they got shitted on and they had like Konami's direct blessing and they actually had direct ties to Team Silent and they did such an awful job, like you gotta. I'm weary because I know how this has gone in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like.
So.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean,
We'll
I hope they prove us all wrong. I hope they really come out, guns blazing. It's like a fire ass game, but I feel like it's not gonna hit. I don't think it's gonna be a classic. It might be a fun game. It'll hit some decent things that we're expecting, but I don't know if it'll go down as like PT for being a short demo. Yeah, is gonna go down in history as one of the greatest mini, small horror titles out there. Whereas, like, you gotta match that. If you're not matching that, it's gonna be rough.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're gonna match
We'll get
that. That's
close.
That's
Like, you know what I'm saying?
barrier
Like,
to
hard to do.
cross.
Yeah,
That's- but that demo like single-handedly created the new
A
way that horror
genre,
games are
yeah.
done. They basically said, yeah, you guys have been floundering forever. Here's a demo. This is how you're gonna make every
that's
horror game.
yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
That's a tough.
Yeah, it's
That's
tough.
pretty
I mean,
crazy.
Yeah,
They're
it's a
kind
little
of fucked.
tough.
They're kind of fucked. They're kind of
Yeah.
fucked when you think about it, because the hype around a demo from like 7 years ago is still so strong that if you come up with anything that's even 80% fire, people are gonna be like, there is not a refrigerator with blood hanging from the fucking ceiling. This shit's trash. I don't want to play this shit, you know? Like,
I think if they're smart, they try to stay away from that as much as possible. They do
Yeah, I
not do
mean-
any callbacks or references to PT. 'cause
exactly.
you just make people
Ideally, I
tight.
would like to see if they're gonna really go this direction, or if there is some type of big secret thing going on with Konami, Kojima, Blue, you know, the team at Bloober. It would be cool if Bloober's working on their own game and it's like, you know, a side story of Kojima's game, and they just intertwine. You know, if you had,
I mean,
something
if you really
cool
think,
like
but I think
that,
Layers
could
of
get
Fear
behind
is
it.
a result of PT. You know, like, you know, PT came out, and then because Layers of Fear is a first-person horror
Yeah.
game, blah blah blah. So, you know,
Gotcha.
it's funny that you say that, because that's literally that why they're even here today. You know what I mean? Because of PT. So we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, you know, like I wish them luck. I hope they bring something to the table. Like I said, there is another developer, so maybe they are working on maybe a reimagining or a ground up remake of the first. Who knows? But let's see what happens. Like I agree with you though. I think, you know, the music got to be there. It's that story writing. I really hope they can get this, because they're okay with telling a story. I admit, Bloober's okay with telling a story, and it can have some twists and turns. But it was nothing that kept me up at night. Put it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like I think the Silent Hill I played the most was
Yeah.
The Room, which was like the fourth one, which I don't even think is like, you know, the one that people even revere that much. But that shit fucked with me though.
No.
Yeah, the Room
I remember
still
watching you
fucks.
play
Like, I
that,
still think
though.
about like, yo,
Yeah.
like man, just waking up, this chains all on your door, like fucking shoes moving across the room, like just little, the tiniest things were just like freaky about that fucking game, you know? Or like you look out a window, you just see a woman standing there going into the train. Next thing you know, you have a dream with her, and it's like it's just such a weird fucking game. And like nothing, like, you know, I have this shit. Like the medium wasn't weird;
That's
it was
awesome.
typical almost. You know what I mean? You know, you have the bad guys, you have the little, you know, I mean, there was some there was some things that made you question, but I don't know, it wasn't Silent Hill levels of weird, but
Yeah, it's like Team Silent did the first 4, and those were like the ones that are like, you know, Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, you find people who love all of those. The ones after that were done by like Helix and shit. Things started getting weird, like Downpour, and like it was weird. Like it just was. It started to feel disconnected from the series. Like just wasn't hitting. It kind of looked the same, but it was not hitting the way it should. That's a hard game, the fucking Ace. Like what people don't realize is, you know, like Hideo and Del Toro. The reason why they were successful with that is because they gave you a new experience in the realm of something that twisted and weird,
Right.
like those phone calls you receive, and you know, just the going in that room. It had a lot of The Room in it, like just being trapped in one place and kind of like reliving shit. That game
Just got the atmosphere, man.
it got the atmosphere, and then
the
that
atmosphere.
twisted story. You know, the father killing his whole family, and like talking about, you know, he's gonna come back and bring his toys with him, and like it was a very dark game. And
Police arrived at the residence at 8:52
and nobody
p.m.
thought it was Silent Hill because it didn't feel exactly like a Silent Hill game. But then when they showed the ending and you realize it's Silent Hills, it felt like a perfect part
like
of
exactly.
that realm. You know, like it felt like it fit. It felt like it fit. Like, and that's what you need. Like when it feels like it fits, that's they need to hit the nail on the head like that. You know, they tried something new and it worked. And that's why they kind of started this fucking surge of people doing these types of games. It worked really well for them, man. That game is still the scariest game.
Yeah,
on
if you have it
PS4.
installed, like my
Like-
Oh hell
installed
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah,
no,
no,
they need to watch tons of like The Ring, just tons of Japanese horror. Just do nothing but watch that, and then like pop LSD.
Going on a
Oh, yeah,
Steve
no,
Jobs
they'd be
And
trip.
that's how
bugging.
you
They're
write the
fucking,
story, because Yeah, that's how you have to write the story. And then when you wake up in 12 hours, you go, oh shit, we wrote the whole thing perfect.
Like that image from the Tokyo Game Show of like that big naked being like just crawling through the hallway, like going after the person,
Oh, I didn't see
and then
that.
like the door blowing up and blasting to the other wall, and then it opening and it's a whole doorway. That shit was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I was hyped for that. I was really hyped for that, but I mean, we'll see what happens, man. I wish them the best. I hope it works because I mean, I'm gonna play it, and especially if I think, you know, if it's if it's the medium, if it feels like the medium and is presented that way, and Akira Yamaoka.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
I'll
definitely gonna play it,
pick
and you know, I want to see what it's about. I mean, you don't, you know, we gotta play it just to either praise it or shit on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna play regardless, even if Akira's not in it.
Exactly.
I need to give my honest opinion on it. I'm not like that. Like I'm talking shit. I'm gonna play it regardless, but I'm gonna definitely go into it knowing how the story's, how the game's gonna be affected
I will
without
stay cautiously
that. You know?
optimistic, I guess. But speaking of
Yeah,
Kojima,
exactly.
what you think about him with Xbox? He signed the letter of intent to work with Xbox. Well, me?
How do you feel about it? I don't know. None of us are Sony fanboys, so I don't really
Well,
know.
we're Kojima
Can't poke
stands,
fun
so
at either
I don't
people.
care. Give me, as long as he got somebody to fund the game, I don't give a shit where it's at because it's gonna be on PC.
Yeah, like bro, listen.
Yeah. If
I'm
you're
a
a Kojima stan,
fucking-
you should be happy just because he's making shit. Like, how could you be mad if,
Like I'm an adult. I can afford both systems. I don't give a fuck what you release it on. I got a PC. I could get it on Game Pass. Like Kojima releases something, I want to play
Exactly.
it. Just don't let
Yo,
it be some
but that whole
bullshit,
shit
that's
with
all.
with them starting a fucking petition to stop that, I was like, come on. I'm like, really?
That's the saddest
like,
shit
you don't
I've
gotta
ever
be
seen.
stuck to
Well, no,
Sony.
not
People are
ever
like,
seen,
he's never
but
released a
pretty
game. I'm like, Konami released Metal Gear on the OG Xbox. I don't know if people must definitely forgot about that, but the OG Metal Gear came out on Xbox or whatnot. So yeah, both.
Sons of Liberty was
yeah,
released
exactly.
on
2 and
Xbox.
3 were both released.
Like-
Substance and Subsistence. Yup. So,
yeah, stop it. Yeah, and we got the and Subsistence, not for nothing, was better than the original. I thought the
exactly.
additional
So
things
that's why
they
I'm
added were
like,
fire.
it's possible. It's not impossible to stop it. And Zone of Enders, a Hideo Kojima game, was on 360. So
Right. Yeah.
that's why I'm like,
Hey,
yeah.
I just thought of something. Does Bloober have some type of exclusive deal with Microsoft?
They.
Because
No, I thought that too,
right?
but it
And Game
just came
Pass.
to PlayStation. Yeah, so
I was gonna
Oh,
say
it just
yeah, it was
came.
time.
Okay.
So
okay.
it was a timed.
they have some
exclusive or
workings with
shit.
them. It's, hey, it's not impossible. So you never know. You never know if maybe he's working with Bloober and that's the workaround. Who knows? I don't know. We're still figuring things out. There's still that cryptic blue box channel, which I still don't.
Blue Box and Bloober.
That's what I think. I think it's the same
working
shit.
together.
You know what I mean? Like this. Like I don't know. Who knows? And then there's like the red versus blue thing, and people are saying that the blue is like the remake, and the red is the new game, and there's a lot of still speculation going on with that, but I guess we shall see.
I mean,
That's
I
what
just
I'm
hope
saying.
some of this is real.
Yeah.
Like, I like shake
That's
the
what I'm saying.
industry.
When they
This
said
shit's
they pushed it
boring
back, and I
right
was
now,
like,
bro.
oh, come on.
Yeah,
But
it's interesting.
yeah, speaking of annoying shit, fucking GTA 6 2025. I'll be 40 years old in 2025. 41.
Yeah, I really hope that's not true.
I think
If
it's
that's true,
it's coming out more and more that it might be at least 3 years away. 2024 is it says, but I think the last thing I saw was like 3 to 4 years. So, like we said before, spring or early fall 2024. That's what I think.
All I could, so let me just ask. All right, so let's say that's true. What do they do in the meantime? Like, you can tell me there's no LA Noire, there's
GTA
no
5 ruined
Red
everything.
Dead, 'cause
GTA
that
5
just dropped.
Online
So there's
literally
no
ruined
Grand Theft-
everything.
So what are they? If you tell me Take-Two Interactive really sat back and was like, oh, we're doing so well, fuck it, we're just not do a fucking thing for 10 years, and they did zero work on
It
this
just better
game,
it better
I will
be the
utterly
most
fucking
perfect
disgusted.
GTA ever. But I think
I hope someone comes and steals their fucking lunch. I hope another game comes out just as good, and by the time
That's
GTA
never
6
gonna
drops,
happen.
they're like, oh, all right.
How much longer do
I
you think
know.
Rockstar could operate the way they do?
But you never
How
know.
long?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. It's got to end at
people
some
love
point.
GTA 5. I mean, it's hard to say because they really do love that. Unless they have some major update to get Red Dead going, or they could be, they could also be building an infrastructure for the next online game, and maybe that's why it's taking long. Maybe they have something that that's what they're worked on first. Because look at that, this shit. There's never not gonna be a GTA Online moving forward. The next GTA Online sequel, whatever, is probably gonna be like on some
Clearly.
expensive
get
shit.
that.
And I think if I had to make an educated guess on that, I think that's the delay as well. Like they need to top what GTA 5 was, because they made so much fucking money from that shit that when the next one comes out, it either got to intertwine with the current model, the current game they have, or they're building two games right now just as big as each other, like a giant story and then a giant online presence or world.
But see, that's the thing. Like this, GTA Online,
didn't.
it got dope, but it didn't start off that dope. It wasn't fire.
I'm just saying, you want the money to keep flowing. You never know.
Listen, I get it monetarily. Yeah.
Like, I keep seeing that reportedly there is an idea that it's gonna return. The map is gonna return to Vice City in Part 6,
that's
and
what I
that
was
it's gonna
hearing,
feature
yeah.
an evolving,
Oh,
quote
see, there you
unquote,
go.
evolving map.
There you go. That
That shit
sounds
doesn't make
right.
sense to me, though.
The online portion, I'm telling you, that's gonna be the next one's gonna be like, could potentially be like either the last one or the last like from the ground up made one, where it'll have a crazy story to start and then story packs mixed with other online shit. Like imagine that, like you never have to make another game, you just add a whole new chapter, 20-hour chapter later on with online shit. I don't know. I'm just, again, this online shit's not going away.
I mean, that's their strategy. No, I know that online's not going away. That's their strategy now, though. Dope single player, add-on packs is.
That's what I'm saying. Like
the
maybe they're
extra, and
doing
then the online that they then.
That's what I'm saying.
built
Maybe
out
they're the
and
sequel to
monetized.
that. You know what I mean? Like
I think a big part of this.
I don't know. I don't think they knew it was gonna be that big. You know what I mean? And then and then there's been a lot of content droughts. Like that team is working on something. If there's so much content droughts, for these games, I mean, something's being worked on.
But that's exactly, and that's why I'm just like, you cannot tell me that the entire Rockstar team was working on fucking GTA Online for the past decade.
Right? Didn't they?
There's no fucking
you
way.
Said, Jose, that there wasn't there like 40 games that were gonna be released by Take-Two or some shit like that, or
Yeah, they said that there's gonna
Yeah,
be
it was gonna be like a lot. So
20
who-
something games to be released.
So
before
we'll see.
2022 or some stupid shit like that.
Maybe you're
Are we
right.
getting
I mean,
table
there's been
tennis
rumors about
3?
Bully.
Is
So
that
maybe
what's
you're right.
happening?
Maybe they're gonna release another game that's not gonna be that as a place. Who knows? Maybe you're right. Because the whole
There's gotta be. There's no way. Otherwise, they're depending on GTA Online for the next 5 years. All right, this is how we make money. GTA Online for another 5 years. That's a bold fucking
it's been the top. It was a
strategy,
top selling game for like six years straight. Monthly, like in the top 10, if not number one, for years straight. So it's like you never know. Maybe now that it's slowed down, it's like, okay, now we gotta
What are the
make some
numbers
money.
looking like
I don't
now?
know. I mean, I agree with you. I hope you're 100% right. I hope
wanna see
something
the
comes
numbers
out.
now.
But again, that was annoying news this past week. And then
Yeah.
It's
yeah, and then now
Madness,
again,
man.
everyone's been talking about the secret Sony fucking state of play or Sony event that was supposed to happen in end of June. Now it's July. Today's July 6th, and we're getting a state of play with Deathloop. 90 minutes of Deathloop.
Yay! Sorry, I was looking at concurrent players
what is
for
it? Third
GTA.
party and indie games are gonna be shown in a 30-minute show. So it sounds like people were upset about this shit. Like,
Hey, Sony guys, where is your god now?
like, it's funny that you said, because yo, I'm sorry. I know one or two listeners are Sony fanboys, and I bought a PlayStation first. I have an Xbox, so it was an afterthought. I barely use
Sorry,
it. I do
guys.
love my PS5, and I'm mostly Team Sony, but these fanboys are like fucking insufferable pieces of shit. I really can't stand the way they get. Like, oh, I've seen enough Deathloop, and I'm like, all right, I get it. Like, it's annoying. Don't get me wrong, it's annoying. I want to see. We need a release date for fucking Horizon already, and we want to see more of God of War. So it's like, I get it, but You should see the uproar, man. These guys were crying about Deathloop being shown.
That's funny. Why? First off, Deathloop is gonna be fire. Like it's
Arcane.
it's
I
love that team. They do good stuff.
You know what it is? Is that what I've been seeing is that either people are hype about it, and I'm already gonna buy that. I don't want to see no more of it. I'm gonna buy it. We know it's coming. I don't want to, show us other shit. And then you have the other team is I don't give a shit about that game. I'm not gonna buy it. I don't care how good it looks. I don't intend on buying that game. Show me something else. So that's what I got from shit. But I don't know. Do you think?
I mean, listen, if they watch the Xbox thing, there was plenty to see, baby. Come on down.
I don't know. What do you think, Jose? Do you think that Sony's missing the mark showing this game that nobody cares about, or so are the?
I mean, I feel like it's just a way for them to say, we got to show.
And you
something.
never know. There might be some fired Square Enix. They're stuck with Sony, and there could be some interesting news there. So I don't care, honestly.
Imagine this fucking event takes place and it's
right, and they actually
God
show
of
everything.
War. The new Spider-Man.
You never know, shit.
Silent Hills.
And they said wait throughout the summer, so I'm sure Gamescom's right, or Tokyo Game Show and Gamescom's right around the corner. So there's time. I know they won't be necessarily there, but there's time to release. Summer just barely started. You still got a couple of months worth of shit. Like, stop crying. You're gonna get your fucking Horizons and God of War information.
Well, something I just thought about too that someone mentioned it. I forget who it was or when, but pretty recently they just mentioned going to Japan. They're like, "Oh, Japan opened back up," and I was like, "Oh, that's right. It's been closed still to foreigners." And then they're like, "Oh no, I'm wrong. It's still closed down." And that's something to think about. Anything Sony or Japanese that heavily might be affected for a longer time because Japan is
doesn't
still
even
going
have
through,
Japanese
like, the COVID
studios anymore. They have
lockdowns and shit like
Team
that.
Asobi. One team, Team Asobi.
They don't have any,
That's it.
really?
That's it. Yep. Everything else is
That's
their
it?
other teams from
shit.
everywhere else.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Okay,
that's what I'm saying too. Like I'm with you, and it's just like Japan Studio was their main like Japanese team, and they pretty much got rid of Japan Studios, and now it's just Team Asobi from like the former Japan Studios, and that's it. Yeah, so you might.
Oh,
I don't know. Like ever since this Jim
weird.
Ryan or whatever the hell his name is took over, and all that, they did that shakeup back in 2020 or 2019. Shit got weird. I don't know. Sony's back to their old fucking bullshit again. I'm losing faith a little bit in them. Like the games are gonna be fire. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy with the games. I'm not gonna be Team Xbox all of a sudden. I don't give a fuck. I want dope games, and I'm gonna go where the games are. I'm just saying, as a company, they're starting to do that same shit all companies do. They're on top, so they're taking bigger risks, doing stupid shit, not giving a fuck about whatever uproar that's coming with it until they do that inevitable fuck up. Like I think that's what's coming. Like that inevitable fuck up where Xbox starts gaining traction, and then Sony has to play catch up, just like Xbox did. Xbox, they got ahead of themselves. 360 was pretty successful, and it's like they never thought they'd get there. They got there, and then look, we want always online, and it's like, what the fuck, Xbox? Like I was a fan until that shit, and Sony one upped and it's just like, fuck.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
They would just shut their mouths over that. Just don't mention it. Just don't say it. You're fine.
Saying
just
shit like, if you don't want always
online,
online, go to 360. It's like, really? That's what you're gonna say? Like, y'all did it to yourself. So same thing with $599 US. $590. Like, it's like y'all thought, we did the PlayStation 2. You'll pay $600 for this monster of a console. And it's like. So that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe not yet, but I think there's gonna be that inevitable. Like, all right, like Horizon's coming out 2023, and God of War's being pushed back to 2027. It's like you're done.
Yeah, maybe they're just like consolidating. They just want all their big hitters. If it makes money, we want it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how you have Kojima making games for Xbox? Like that right there could be a big fuck up, because he comes out with some fire ass new IP that's not gonna be on PlayStation. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Listen,
not that it'll kill Sony, but it's gonna take a lot of players, the other direction, except PC. But I'm talking about the console only players. Yeah, they're gonna, they're gonna. It's a hit. I don't know. That was one of the stupidest moves. They should have kept them as a unofficial second party and said, you know what, do better, make a better game, or I don't know. But Sony fucked up with that one, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I I agree, because this is how it goes back to what we talk about in other podcasts. This is how you know there's no console war, because in the 90s, and I have to bring up the 90s not to sound like the old guy, but because that was when the last console war, in my opinion, was like the most relevant, right? Sega versus Nintendo, when it came to that. All right, just to give an example of what I mean, when Mortal Kombat came out for Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis, the Sega Genesis began to outsell the Super NES because Mortal Kombat decided to include the blood code, right? And it gave people the option to play with blood and get their actual fatalities. That shit really fucked up Nintendo up. It fucked them up. Yeah. They felt it because of that game. That was a massive release, a massive addition. And then this is not like the days where you could just go on fucking bum ass Kotaku and be like, you see an article that says like Mortal Kombat Genesis version to feature fatalities with hidden code. Like that's what it would be like now. Back then, this shit was like word of mouth.
Oh yeah,
Wait, what? You could do what? Like you could do what? You do a code in the.
I'll never forget. I was in 4th or 5th grade when fifth grade I think it was. My parents bought me Mortal Kombat. You know, I only heard about it through like commercials and maybe some arcades. And I'll never forget. They were like, "Yeah, there's blood in it." I'm like, "No, there's not." And they were like, "Do this code with the word." Yo, I'll never forget the feeling, the ABACABB, and fucking hearing Scorpion say that shit and the words turn red was one of the most amazing feelings. And when I saw it, I was like, "There's blood in the video game!" Like a 10-year-old me was like spazzing over that shit.
Yeah. That was a major moment in gaming, period, because that shit really said, all right, motherfucker, what now? Like you released that bullshit on that side. And the crazy part is that on the Super NES, the game graphically looked better.
Yeah.
And it had better sound. It looked and played better than the Genesis version did. The Genesis didn't even have enough buttons on the controller for the button layout that Mortal Kombat had. You had to like hit start to switch or select to switch one of the kick buttons, I think. And it wasn't even built for that system, but it looked like shit and it had blood. And that's all we gave a shit about. But a move like that really hurt Super Nintendo. So what did they do? Part 2 gets released. They decided, fuck that, we gotta keep the blood. Family friendly fucking Nintendo? No, keep the blood. And then what happened? They began to outsell Sega. As soon as that game dropped, more systems started selling because they had a graphically that game slays the Genesis version. The Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat 2 feels like you're playing an arcade game, but when you compare them side by side, it's not the case. But it felt so good to play a game that translated that well onto, Super Nintendo, and it had all the blood that you could think about. It had all of it. But that's a major move that could hurt your whole company. And the fact that fucking Sony just let Kojima go like that, where he could come out with a new IP, which is gonna fucking bring people, or he could take over an old IP that is insanely big, like a Metal Gear or Silent Hills, and he could deliver something huge, and you don't even give a shit. They don't. It's like it's a whole different ball game now. These motherfuckers are just doing whatever they want,
it's like
and it's ridiculous.
That's even like, because remember there was rumors about Stadia and that he was talking with them, and then the woman who left Stadia came to Microsoft, and now that's the rumor that maybe they're working together. Maybe that was part of the pitch. But it's like, yo, if he releases a new IP or some shit that's fire, it's like, yo, you just fucked your whole shit up. I get it. Death Stranding was middling or whatever, and I get it that it wasn't maybe it didn't sell the way they thought it was gonna sell. It was gonna be this, but I'm pretty sure it made its money. And it's like, I don't know, even if it didn't, it's like just having that name attached to the Sony brand. I feel like yo, you like, come on. And he even said it, he wants to try something different, like maybe not so prophetic, because he's saying like a lot of his games he prophesizes he talked about social networks and the way things are going to work in Metal Gear Solid 2. You know what I'm talking about? All the way back in was it 2001 or 2002, whenever it came out. And look at Death Stranding. That he literally predicted the coronavirus like lifestyle, being stuck at home, and where deliveries were fucking everything. You know what I mean? Like you have to order all your food and go shopping through deliveries. Like he literally predicted that shit, and it's like, so whatever's gonna come out next is probably gonna be. I'm sure it's gonna be less experimental, and even if it is, he creates new genres. Like look at, like you said before, we look at PT. It created a brand new landscape for horror games. What if he does the same shit now? It's like it's not impossible. Like I don't know. And knowing him, huh?
I just hope he does. I hope he doesn't get. I hope that's what happens. I hope he's allowed, or I hope he doesn't go too outside of his lane, and he tries to get super creative, and then he makes like a rare game. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want him trying to get so crazy and commercial that then he's not himself, and then you know what I mean? Because that sort of happened with.
But that wasn't him. He oversaw it, but yeah,
you know what I mean. I know it wasn't him. Yeah. But even the fact that
Konami still owned it, so it's who knows?
You know what you do, I just hope it's not like that, where he's just like, I'm taking the paycheck and I'll give you guys something and put my name on it. We're done. Like, give me the weird shit. Like, give me the prophetic craziness.
For me, I think it's more than that. I think financially, like, Death Stranding made like I was reading an article about that recently. That Death Stranding, when it came out on PC, it made like $27 million on PC. When it came out here, it sold like 300 or 400,000 copies or some shit its first week digitally.
It's a slow burner, man.
So I mean, this shit made its money back a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? Like way more, because the budget was like $10 million for the game.
They probably wanted that Metal Gear level fucking classic banger, and it's like you can't get that every time.
I just think it's like a lot of moving around, a lot of shifting at the top, and they have a new game, like a new game plan in sight. And he didn't fall in line with that. Like they want to do these blockbuster, big budget games like the Uncharted and the Last of Us, and the games are gonna get the front page of every news site. For games.
That's the thing. Is that what they want? Like, what are they going for?
I felt like
I'm trying to figure out their strategy. Like, what is it they're heading for, you think?
I think their strategy is just bread. They just want to get that money, man. Like, I mean, you think about if you're releasing games like Spider-Man and God of War and Horizon, and these are some major games. Uncharted, Last of Us. Those games are so huge that when Kojima comes out and releases like an obscure title like Death Stranding, it doesn't really fit into that category. It's kind of like having the conscious dope lyricist rapper in a room full of gangster rappers. It's good shit, but
come into a Dipset party.
Yeah, it's like having a conscious rapper who can, like, it's having a Kendrick Lamar like in the middle of like a 90s fucking gang rap shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you kind of he's nice and it's gonna work, but you don't want that right now because everything else is. That's kind of how they're thinking, I feel.
Most Def
Kendrick is not even a good example because he's in he's tied into so much gang shit, but you get what I'm saying. It's kind of like he definitely sticks out like a sore thumb if you start putting him next to the bigger titles.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, because I'm trying to, like, all right, what's their overarching, like, strategy? Like, you could tell, like, Activision, they want a lot of, like, games as a live service, shit like that. EA's got their gambling boxes, you know what I mean? Right. Microsoft, it seems like they're trying to push developers, it seems like, to create more games as a service for their platform. So it's like, all right, so what's Sony's? Because Sony already has sort of their live service. I mean, they got like the best live service ever.
I mean, AAA titles, they're still going to work on single player, but they want it to be like bangers and blockbusters only. Like, and that's what it is. It's like, that's what they said. I mean, Death Stranding only sold, I guess, was in like the top 10, but I guess it wasn't number one. I guess it didn't sell like the way they thought it was going to sell. Since they didn't kill, it's like, I was skimming right now, and I don't know how true some of these reports I was reading, but apparently it got soft rebooted in the middle of production, and there was like issues. It was the same thing that happened with Konami apparently happened there. Like there was financial Death Stranding apparently.
Wait, with
Yeah,
what?
there was apparently
I see.
issues with the production and how much he was spending, and it was supposed to be a scarier game, and then they redid some of it in the middle. Who knows? But apparently, I mean, yeah, I'm like, who knows? Maybe it's true. Maybe that's why a lot of the game is empty, and then you have like really like, because I mean, there's a lot of big names in this, so they definitely spent money on that shit. But I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
He had some
And who
cameos,
knows? Maybe they wrote him a
paid some
blank
money
check
for
and he
it.
spent it on shit that they were like, what the hell? Why is Conan O'Brien in this shit? I don't know. That seems to be.
Yeah,
That seems to be.
exactly.
So Sony just wants
possible.
bangers, but I don't know what I was. I don't know how true what I just saw, but apparently that like Sony was working with Konami to get the IP over, and that's a real thing. But again, this was on some website I never heard of before. But I think the last piece of
don't know.
annoying news for the week is the brand new super fantastical Nintendo Switch OLED edition.
Oh God.
No? Same insides, but now you get an OLED screen,
that.
guys. Those 24 FPS will pop with colors.
Yay!
That was the most annoying shit.
Woohoo!
That was the
Welcome
most
to the
annoying
year
announcement today that
2015.
I woke up to that shit, and I had Pfeffer tweet out under the Twitter for the podcast, and she put hashtag my body is ready. I was like, my body's not ready for this shit. I was like, don't put excitement in the
How do you
tweets
put that?
because
Erase that.
I was not excited for that shit. But
It's
exactly
literally the
with an
exact
OLED
same
screen and
fucking
the
shit.
dock, which you can buy separately or buy a
Yeah.
third-party dongle and plug it into a USB, will have the LAN. Yay!
I was gonna
But
say
you could already do
Ethernet
that.
now.
And I think they're getting, if I'm not
Welcome to
mistaken,
the
I don't know if it's
future.
true. I think I saw
know.
somebody said that they're doing the same shit by getting rid of a USB on the inside, and the LAN is gonna take its place. So I'm like, for that you could just buy a $20 dongle and
Awesome.
plug that shit into the fucking current. I was just annoyed. I was like, but not even like a little bump in spec, like nothing at all. I just found that shit so annoying. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I was excited for half a second when the news that I had heard was wrong. So I had zero excitement for the actual announcement. I was I was a little excited because I thought that I had heard they were
Well, it has
getting
an NVIDIA chip,
chips,
that's the Tegra
which would have been
X1, but
huge news.
yeah.
So wait, is it an NVIDIA chip? 'Cause I
No,
asked someone else and they were
100%.
like, it's not.
It's
They're not
an
using
NVIDIA
chips.
Shield, but in a side. Everything in the original NVIDIA Shield is in the Switch. So, but
Okay.
slightly changed for the Switch, maybe
So
souped up
that's-
a little bit. But it's an
all right.
NVIDIA Tegra X1, if I'm not mistaken. But it's for sure 100% NVIDIA, for sure.
So then let me ask you this then, because you're way more like on that side of things, like Nintendo. What's the possibility, or what's like the likelihood that then, because DLSS is getting really good, right? And they can basically upres 720. When you put DLSS into ultra performance mode, it's
I
upresing
see.
720
Next,
into 4K.
I think that's the next
So,
iteration because that Tegra
Good,
processor is old, and that was before the RTX chips. That's the only reason why I say that, because only the RTX do DLSS, because your 1080 Ti is not doing that. So the Tegra,
That's
which
what
is a
I'm-
lower
yeah.
performing chip that was in the NVIDIA Shield, if I had to take a guess, it's never gonna get DLSS. If anything,
It's
you know,
not,
AMD's answer to that will work on NVIDIA cards. So if they made a deal with them to like have that's how it
True.
would do it, but not through NVIDIA, not until the next Switch. Like the next Switch, I think is gonna be that's gonna be the fire system. Like I think that's gonna kill everything if it has a NVIDIA chip that has DLSS that lets you still rock with a lower powered device for handheld, but you connect it to the dock and boom, you got fucking 4K. It's gonna look fire. So I think it's 2 years away. Seems to be
4K, yeah.
Nintendo turnaround. So I think we're 2 years away from the next one. 2017, the original Switch. 2019, the Switch Lite. 2021, the OLED, and I say 2023 we'll get the new and improved. Yeah, and
Some
and
new
that Switch will,
dongles.
if I had to take a guess, will have, DLSS and all that. I think they're waiting for the. Yeah. But yeah, that
I would
shit
hope
was
so by
stupid.
then.
I'm like, you're still getting 720, which
Alright.
fine. I was already annoyed hearing it was going to be 720, even with the 4K rumor. But I thought, okay, well, if it's possible to do 4K, maybe it'll have
Yeah.
better frame rates, no. So it's nothing. It's the same shit with an OLED screen, which doesn't excite me at all.
Yeah, I don't
mind playing
play
it
my
docked.
Switch mostly docked
And
anyways,
undocked, it's
so.
like, it's good enough, I guess. And it's, I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. It's like, it's good enough.
That's
and
what,
it's
yeah,
like, fine, you'll
exactly.
get.
Yeah. Exactly. When it's in my hand,
That shit was not
it's
exciting
like,
at all. I
alright,
saw
this is
people
fine.
freaking out.
fine.
And it's $50 more. That's the shit that pisses me off. That's some old ass.
gonna
That's
say, that's what got
old.
you
Like,
angry, yeah.
look, we all know after a few years, there's always a redesign because
Yeah.
chips get cheaper to make. That's a fact. It's always happened, and it will always happen. So the fact you tell me this, first of all, they were making a profit from day one because, you know, Microsoft and Sony always sell at a loss because they're trying to give you the best power at the biggest loss they can take because it's a loss leader. You know, the Switch, Nintendo hasn't sold a loss leader since I think the GameCube. So because the Wii was just a GameCube that took DVDs and had motion controls, and then we went to the Wii U, which was just a souped up Wii. You know, it's always been they haven't sold a loss leader in forever. So when the Switch launched, it wasn't they were making a profit, even if it was a small one. They were making a profit. You're telling me 4 years later you had a little OLED screen, which is not new tech anymore, and the small one is probably super cheap to make, you know, with whatever, especially that they're buying in bulk from Samsung. I'm like the fucking Vita, which was $300, had a slightly smaller, it was a 5.2 inch screen, and it was $300 in 2011. You're telling me $350 for old parts and an OLED? Get the fuck out of here. It's like they're getting annoying.
Company?
Like, they're mad fucking annoying because it's like, yo, release a better Switch already. Like, fuck this shit. Like, I don't know. They want that 6 years. That's what they want. They want the Wii U was such a failure. They're trying to make that money. They want 6 years of profits from system selling, and then they'll release Switch that has the power of a PS Pro probably.
Yeah. And they can do it. No one's gonna stop them because no one else is in their space. Like, what they do, no one else does. So it's like, well,
exactly.
you're gonna wait.
Yeah. That whole shit felt underwhelming. It's like nobody gives a shit about it. You know, like we at least make it cheaper. You know, give us something. I don't know, man. I feel like those moves are so weird. Like, really, people are gonna really go out there and spend $50 more than they spent on a new Switch that they bought years ago. A lot of people like myself that don't play it as often, like, that literally just be if I wanted to be one of those people.
Exactly.
Just has to have new shit when it comes out. That would be like a day one purchase, but give a shit about that, man. Like, oh, now I could get the 2 or 3 times a year I do
slightly, just with some the colors will pop a little bit more. And it has a 0.7 of an inch bigger. You know, because it's 6.2 now, or 0.8. It's 6.2 now, and it's gonna be a 7-inch screen. And I like that, but again, it's like, who cares? It's the same fucking res, the same slow thing. Like Hyrule Warriors, I remember I could not believe how bad that game looked. Like, blurry, horror. I was like, yo, why does this shit look so blurry? It looked better on the docked. But you would think it would look better on the small screen, like Monster Hunter. Actually looked pretty decent. You know, in handheld mode, and the frame rate's a lot smoother looking. It's still 30 FPS, but it didn't. I don't know. I think it's unsynced. Or something's wrong with it when it's docked. That it looks there's a lot of judder or whatever. But either way, like, it's still gonna be shit. So I'm not spending another $350 on that. I don't care. It looks nice. Don't get me wrong. You know what got me excited the most? That I was like, yo, that's fire. Is the new fucking stand that goes across the whole back. That was the only thing that I was like, I like that. That's the only thing I liked. Exactly. And that shit can really stand up without feeling like, you know, you blow on it and the shit fucking falls over. So, hell yeah.
It's just Apple vibes, bro. They're trying to go the Apple.
But like, yo, not even a little bit of power to say, look, this is not a new system. We're not gonna make specific games for it, but you're gonna get a better frame rate. I would have bought it. It's a little bit more power so that the frame rates are better. I would have bought that shit. But you're charging more for a redesign because as an OLED screen, you think you can charge more for that? Fuck you. Like that to me feels like a big fuck you to everybody. Like it should be 300. It should just take over the price of the current model. And so now you're charging more? Like, I don't know. Like, I can't believe they're charging more for
they're
it.
crazy.
Like 300, I would have been like, okay, that's cool. That's cool if one of mine break or whatever. But 350 with a few extra additions that are cheaply made anyway, an OLED screen that's not expensive to make anymore like it used to be. Like, look at me and you. We both bought our 55-inch OLEDs this year for under $1,000. So it's like, or last year, whatever.
Yeah, we both went out and bought them just because we got PS5s. We were like, fuck it, let's go buy these OLEDs. I'm happy with my purchase.
Exactly, and it's like, so a little 7-inch OLED. It's like, come on, my fucking Nexus 1 Google phone from like 2008 had an OLED. 2009 had an OLED screen. So I'm like, come on, like you're acting like you really doing something by adding a LAN, a new dock, a new stand, and an OLED screen. That's like, you just want to make more money.
If they would have like.
That's the other thing.
The Switch have
no,
like for
not even this one. Right? No,
they didn't have that either. Wow,
oh, really?
I'm glad you brought that up.
This new system, or quote unquote new.
That's
because that shit's annoying for me. Like, I don't want to be restricted. It feels like, like, all right, this Switch should have been
Bluetooth,
had Blu-ray. It should have.
That's not that funny.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Fucking
sorry about that. What the fuck? The Switch should have Blu-ray.
Damn, word, a CD drive? Okay.
Include a CD drive.
Fuck.
All right. Bluetooth, better frame rate, at least like a 9-inch screen would have been the shit.
You know what I'm saying? 1080p?
Like, I mean, it would have been maybe do something. Like, I've never liked how far behind Nintendo is when it comes to this shit. Like, the Nintendo Wii felt like an old ass system, and it was brand new. I played Donkey Kong. And on that shit, the newer ones, like Donkey Kong Country franchise, when they had like redid them, or like continued it, and that shit just felt
because
weird, bro.
They didn't have an HDMI in there, so the Wii didn't have 1080p. That's the shit that's killing me right now about the Switch.
Fucking an amazing game, but looked like shit. I'm over here playing this on a 55-inch TV at the time. Like, oh my god, when we first moved into that apartment,
that
like,
480.
Oh shit, this looks terrible, bro. Like, how do I even justify this shit? So somebody might come over and see this shit.
And for those listening, we get it. Like, Nintendo makes fun games. I had a lot of fun with Monster Hunter. I know frame rates don't only matter. It's just, if you're gonna release a redesign with that and charge more for it, it's like, give us a little bit more, like, I don't know, or just like leave it at the same price. If they said, look, we're gonna discontinue the original model, the new $299 Switch is gonna have an OLED now and these extra features, I wouldn't even really be complaining. Like, all right, well, they're continuing it. But there's been rumors for months. Not, fine, there were just rumors. I get it, but it's like, like, I think to me it's just the extra $50. It's like, fuck you and your $350 when it's like, it's just the same Switch, and you're calling it the OLED. Oh, and it has new speakers. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I hear it has new speakers. Oh, and I know I'm going on rambling here. I doubt it.
Who makes the speakers? Are they Bose?
No, but you know what got me annoyed?
The fuck out of here, I don't want them.
Your favorite news outlet, Kotaku. That shit. There's an article today. It's like, do we really need what it said? Do we really need the Switch doesn't need an upgrade? Oh fuck! Let me pull that shit. This shit was, the headline was mad fucking annoying.
The new Nintendo Switch OLED doesn't need 4K. Let's be real. No,
Patricia. The 4K, like, it doesn't need 4K. Let's be real. I'm like, you're right, but that's so disingenuous. Like, yeah, you're right. It doesn't need 4K, but it needs better frame rates. It needs a stable frame rate. Like, let it be 1080p on the small screen and 1080p on the big screen. You know what I mean? And with a stable frame rate, at least better than 30. Yeah. Give me 45, 50, and I'd be happy.
Listen. The new Nintendo Switch doesn't even have to fucking exist. Let's be real. But since it does,
thank you.
Why don't we fucking upgrade it? How's that, Patricia?
Yeah, listen, I don't know. I forget, you guys will probably know, but correct me if I'm wrong. Is this not the same girl who was out here fucking on Ryu's dick when they gave him a beard? Like, years ago?
It might be. She's the worst. Every article she's ever written has been one of
She's
the worst
definitely
articles
that
I've ever
girl.
read.
I'm gonna go
Yeah,
back.
her and Plunkett are the
she's
most
definitely
annoying
that girl.
motherfuckers on that whole side. The whole side is
She's
annoying.
terrible.
Don't get me wrong.
I legit remember the day she was hired because the first article she wrote got me so tight for like a week. I was just like, what?
Yo, it's
What?
yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, like
I
I used to before the. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's her.
yeah, that's her.
I found her.
I
Street
remember
Fighter
that bitch.
5's bearded Ryu is the hottest Ryu. Like, all right, I get it. We've been talking about fucking Cammy and Chun-Li since we were like 10.
But get out of here.
Just
Oh, let's
shut
be
up.
real. Doesn't I'm like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily need it, but it's like it needs an upgrade. So get the fuck out of here with your shit. It's like I said. Oh, and then there was another article I was reading. I don't know why I do this to myself. Maybe I'm a masochist. I don't know, but fucking what got me annoyed was in the first paragraph they said, oh, the Samus Metroid Dread that's coming out the same day that this launches the 2D one is not gonna be
The
a Switch
2D?
OLED exclusive. I'm like, why the fuck would it be an exclusive? It's a fucking new screen. No, that shit, that shit got me so mad. I was like, what are you talking about? Because
That's
it's
mad
like apparently
funny.
the sound. Yeah.
Did
It was,
someone at Kotaku said that?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Fucking good old Kotaku.
And just so you know, this cheeseburger,
Right? It's
just
like-
for you, we're not gonna put any chicken in it. It's like, what the fuck?
Holy
Like,
shit.
Yeah, no kidding. What do you mean?
Yeah, I was
What
like,
the
what do you
fuck
mean
does
it's
that
not a Switch
mean?
OLED exclusive? Why the fuck would anything be exclusive to a new screen and some speakers?
It's not a. Yeah.
Wait,
Then
what if
they
they
should
are?
have
What
done
if
a
certain
fucking
games
upgrade then.
just
Then
like, OLED only,
I'll
baby.
really be mad because it's like, yo, you should have just did an upgrade for all that.
That would be
Oh yeah, see, Metroid Dread, first game to take advantage of
Like
new Switch model. First of all, how's it? Well, the speaker. Yeah, exactly, and it's
I
like
was gonna say, take it back.
Metroid launched the same day, and though the game is not a Switch OLED exclusive, Nintendo hopes its fancy enhancements will drive players to the new console. Like, shut the fuck up! Like, what? It's just the.
Does
it's
it
the.
mention
I
the
think it's
fancy
mostly
enhancements?
the speakers because it's gonna have like audio cues or something in Dread that the speakers are gonna be well. But I'm like, people got headphones, you know that, right? Like, we got headphones. Be like, stop acting like these new
Yeah.
enhancements do anything. That's the only thing they could do is the fucking speakers. That's what are you gonna do with an OLED screen? Like, it's still 720p. It's still gonna look like shit. The colors will pop, but exactly.
I don't know. What I do know is the only thing more rabid than a Sony fanboy is a Nintendo.
Oh, you're
fanboy.
right.
So
You're
Nintendo's
right,
gonna
and that's
be
why I
just
have no
fine.
problem shitting on them as much as possible when they do
So-
dumb shit. Because as much as I used to have hope that Nintendo would be like the savior, you know, like without microtransactions, they've all gone left ever since. I get it. I'll admit Satoru Iwata didn't make the best
Yeah.
decisions with Nintendo, but he tried to keep them way more pure than what they're becoming with this shit.
I was gonna say, yeah. Like you want to talk about them having like a vision
Yeah.
and sticking to it, yada yada. Like that was him. Like and even then, like he knew how to try to keep him current, try to keep him modern. Like I feel like
Exactly.
This shit
Like
is
this
just,
this was corny.
I don't know what to say.
People,
Like,
everyone,
who's buying
mad people are
this?
gonna buy this shit, and it's like, I'll wait for that. I'm not dropping $350 on that. I'm just not, because
Yeah,
who
but
knows,
why?
The biggest,
Yeah.
slightly bigger screen, and speakers.
Man, I can get a pair of jeans for $350. Okay, a single pair of jeans. Why would I buy a Switch? Come on.
Oh man,
The fuck?
but yeah, I think that's it. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add before we head out? I think we're doing good time today. Had some good talks.
Mean, a lot of news and entertainment, a lot of MCU news. It's not really game.
Oh yeah, you were
related, but,
mentioning
know,
that
we
before.
we touch on those
What's
things sometimes.
yeah, like what's the? I don't keep up with none of this shit. I'm terrible at this.
I mean, there's a
With-
lot
with
of
what stuff?
rumors. It's pretty much Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 has been breaking the internet a lot. There's also Loki, the series, which has been just completely tearing
shit.
open
I gotta
the whole
catch up with that
timeline
one.
for the
Yeah.
MCU. So there's a lot of there's a lot of cool things on the horizon right now. And then out of nowhere, Hugh Jackman came out and like Boss Logic, the dude who like does the like fan made posters for MCU related stuff, he put a random picture up of Wolverine's claws, like a picture of Wolverine's arm with the claws, and he just captioned it 3, and then people were like, oh, what the fuck is that about? But then Hugh Jackman reposted it. I think he reposted it, and then he randomly posted a picture of him and Kevin Feige from Marvel Studios. So people are like, yeah, people are going crazy about that because they're like, damn, he might be rephrasing his role. And there's a lot of rumors about, pretty much everybody knows Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, they're all back there together. But
they've been spotted in the city.
Yeah, they've been spotted in the city. Like they were all in New York City the other day, on the same day. And the biggest rumor that I'm most excited about, man, Willem Dafoe, main villain as
that's
the Green
fire.
Goblin.
Yeah, like that's gonna be real interesting how they pull that shit off, man.
Yeah. Now let me ask, because you've been paying attention. Has I think I heard Loki was gonna be the one that Loki's kind of the series that's pushing people towards the next Doctor Strange.
Kinda, yeah, because in the Loki series revolves around the timeline, the sacred timeline, which is the one where Tony and he snapped and everybody is back and Tony Stark died or whatever.
Wait, what?
But I mean, this is just something you're gonna hear about this shit if
like I haven't seen Endgame, but I've heard that so much. I'm not. It didn't really even bother me. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows it doesn't really affect anything at this point, but the movies are amazing regardless. But yeah, I mean, pretty much Loki, some significant events just took place that tore open the timeline pretty crazy. And then, the events of WandaVision also have some pretty, it's stuff that's pretty much opening up the fabric of time. And it's gonna get real weird. It's gonna get real weird in December, because that's when Spider-Man 3 comes out. And I mean, dude, it's July and the movie comes out December. We haven't had one teaser. And my guess is that they're waiting for Loki to finish.
Oh, that's true.
And for Black Widow to come out.
And you don't need to do a fucking campaign, advertising a campaign for these movies, because like, you show that shit 2 weeks before, it's just breaking records.
Yeah, I mean, like the shit I'm hearing about Spider-Man 3 and Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, I'm hearing some of the most banana. Like I cannot wait to experience that in theaters.
That's gonna be fire.
There's talks about Tom Cruise playing an alternate reality version of Tony Stark, because he was supposed to be Iron Man at one point. There's rumors of John Krasinski.
That sounds actually kind of fire.
An alternate timeline, because it sounds crazy. And then like all the
knockoff universe.
Yeah, because it's like, dude, you don't understand how fucking funny. Like Loki has gotten to that point where like they showed him different variants of himself. That's what they refer to them as, variants. So it's like different versions of this one person. They had like a frost giant version of him where he's like 10 feet tall and he's blue. They had a Hulk version of him. They had there's like, they're showing him like Owen Wilson showing him all the different versions of him. He's like, this is like, I would not stab you in the back. He's like, look, I've seen you stab people in the back like 50 times. Wow. He's like, I've been watching you do this like nonstop. And he starts showing him like different versions of him, and it's just, even one of them is like a soccer player, like a famous soccer player version of Loki, like waving.
That sounds hilarious.
Funny. That's mad funny.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but the show is pretty cool, and it has everything to do with the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, and they're the ones that control the sacred timeline. And whenever there's a branch reality created, they go in there and they reset it so that it doesn't fuck with there's only allowed to be one timeline where things are supposed to happen. So like all the events of Endgame and everything, that was supposed to happen, but Loki getting the Tesseract in Endgame and disappearing, that's the version that you're seeing in this show. That wasn't supposed to happen. He was a cosmic fluke. So now the TVA is involved. Like, we've been seeing you jump from time period to time period, and we're here to stop you. Like, they see everything that's going on, so they'll randomly pop up in different eras of time and just like look for this variant that's causing a shift and a spike in the fucking timeline, and they'll reset the timeline and be like, okay, that one's done. We clip that branch. So they're in there like just changing realities.
I'm definitely
insane,
gonna get on
bro.
that.
Yeah, that's
Holy
fire.
shit.
I gotta check it.
Oh man.
Yeah, you'll like it.
I think I heard Black Widow was coming out not good though.
I mean,
sadly.
there's a lot of Black Widow like early reviews.
Yeah.
Honestly, for
Somebody
me,
was like, I'm embarrassed for Scarlett Jo, and I was like, damn, is it that bad?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
sad. I was looking forward to a
Yeah,
dope
I
fucking
really-
Black Widow movie.
honestly, I've learned to not
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna pay attention to it until it comes out.
Yeah.
Because I
Fair.
keep seeing, I keep seeing stuff like that, but then I keep seeing shit like that. It's reminiscent of the Winter Soldier. So Winter Soldier was awesome.
That was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I don't know. I believe in it. It's got the sheriff.
Oh,
from,
okay.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, it was Steven. It was Steven Dorff that said, I'm sure she got paid $5-7 million. He's still embarrassed for her and wants no
Yeah.
part of these MCU movies. Now, here's my problem with Steven Dorff.
I was gonna say, all right, Mr. Dorff. Yeah.
All right, Mr. Dorff. First of all, you were the first one on that fucking Marvel dick
Oh, yeah,
when
that's
Blade
right.
came out. So shut the fuck up and stay in your fucking lane. Because
I thought that was him. I was like, is this something from Blade?
yeah, he said it looks like a bad. He said it looks like a bad video game, and it's like, bro, we know you're not that important to have seen the whole movie yet, so shut the fuck up.
Bro, you were in Blade.
Like, calm down, bro. Like, I'm not saying this movie is gonna be. I'm not saying it's gonna be like the next coming, but look at this review right here. Review: Black Widow is a killer Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Kate
sure it's gonna
Shortland
be
has
fine.
done well by the MCU without losing her cinematic soul. This is why you just gotta really sit and watch it for yourself. Like,
Wait, so that's you're saying
Like, I
review it's
learned to
out
not
or
really,
it's about to come out and people are seeing it, or?
no, the early reviews of people who've seen it, I don't even know if it's out, honestly, because I worked.
I don't think it's out yet.
I don't think it's out yet,
I
but
think.
gonna-
Oh, okay,
The release
okay.
is July
Oh
9th,
wow, I
so
didn't realize
this
it was that
Friday.
close. Holy shit. All right, cool.
So I mean, it comes out on Disney Plus as well, no?
I think so.
Yeah, because I'll
I
just
can't
watch
be
it on
sure,
there.
though.
I'll definitely be watching it. Like, I mean, I don't miss these movies. Like, I didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I didn't like Iron Man 2 or 3.
What?
I didn't like The Dark World that much.
You didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy 2?
I didn't. I thought it was trying really hard to be like part 1, and just everything with ego and like it just kind of fucked it up for me. It felt very slow.
The
And
Ego
I-
storyline was little.
Yeah, and then I hate a storyline that's that basic. Like, oh, this guy's your dad. He was in the beginning of time. Ooh, look, he's bad
Yeah.
now. Like, shut the
But you
get
didn't-
this shit out of here.
Doug didn't win you over?
That what?
Doug? The dude who, the big blue rock guy?
No,
Doug?
he was funny.
Yo, he was the best. That's
Yeah.
like the whole movie. That shit was just such a great comedy for me. I
No,
fucking
that was
loved
cool.
it.
I like the movie overall. I for me it was like a 7, 6.5 or 7. But the first Guardians, that shit
Yeah.
was just all throughout was hilarious.
Fair enough.
Like,
Do you like Ragnarok?
I liked Ragnarok was
Okay.
fucking hilarious.
Okay, cool.
A lot of people hated that movie. You see, like you can't even trust anybody. People
Those
fucking
people are what we
hate
call
Ragnarok.
stupid.
Yeah,
Who hates
people.
Ragnarok? I've never met him. Who?
Bro, people hate when that movie came out. People
Point him out.
hated that movie, and I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?"
Nah, Ragnarok is straight fuego. That shit was fire. Way better than the first one. Completely
Look-
saved
look at
that
the first thing I
that whole
found.
series.
Why do people hate Thor Ragnarok so much? And it's like, bro, I thought it was an excellent change of pace, and the comedy tone really fucking worked.
Because
I
they
could
took
al-
away all the slow motion shots of Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy that it's Sam Raimi working on Doctor Strange too, man. I don't think we realize how significant that is, because
That makes
Doctor
me so
Strange
sad.
2 in the Multiverse of Madness connects directly to Spider-Man 3.
Okay.
I know.
So
I
there's,
just do not like Sam as a director, man.
I mean, he has his own style, but I think that for him, the biggest
Yeah.
thing has been direction. Like he's a director, but he also needs direction a little bit. I think Disney and Marvel are so kind of like anal about that they won't really let it get out of. I'm interested to see where it goes.
I hope so.
If it's like a Evil Dead, but like serious approach, it's gonna like drag me to hell type moments. Because they're saying this is the MCU's first horror movie.
Oh, is that what this is gonna be?
Yeah, this is gonna be a gothic horror. It's not gonna be presented as a traditional MCU film. Multiverse of Madness is being presented as a gothic horror. So it's gonna have a lot of those Raimi jump scares and those weird like moments.
That sounds kind of cool. Hopefully it's good, but that sounds fucking interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, like if you combine that with the looks of the first Doctor Strange, and then you include the fact that this shit has like so many people involved because it's a multiverse movie, so you're gonna have different versions of all these different people. And now that Marvel has all the Fox properties under their belt, that means you could show Deadpool, you could show Wolverine, you could have just the funniest, most coolest cameos and just really deliver something cool, you know?
Yeah, I was looking forward to the cameos. I'm just shocked it's going to be in a horror setting. That's
Doctor Strange 2 is a horror movie.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
cool.
Let's see what happens, man. But yeah, that's my a little bit of
No, that was dope. All right, cool. So yeah, no, I mean, I think we talked about a lot of good stuff this week. Hopefully, this next week won't be as annoying as this past one. So I guess we'll see. Oh well, we gotta watch the State of Play.
Yeah, right.
So let's see the extra 9 minutes of Deathloop this Friday, I think it is, or whatever date it is. Anyway, but Thursday, I think it is. But anyway, all right, guys. Yeah, I think that does it for us tonight. Any last words from before we go?
Drink your Ovaltine.
That's a good point. And let's go Suns. I'm looking forward to the finals. I'm rooting for the Suns. It's gonna be good.
It's a great way to stay in shape.
Dude, what happened to the Knicks?
All right, good night, everybody. Later.